Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Policy Bites, the podcast where we explore the future of platform engineering, cloud native technologies, AI, and of course, policy as code. I'm Courtney Nickerson, head of community at Nirmata, the creators of the Kyverno project. I'm here with my co host, Jim Bourgeoisia. Jim, welcome back. So excited to have you here again and be recording yet another episode. How are you?
Very good. Thank you, Courtney. Pleasure to be here and really excited to have this conversation with Pedro.
Yes, we are also welcoming Pedro Ignacio to our show today. Pedro, thank you for taking some time to be here with us.
For sure. Thank you for the invitation. I love being with you.
So, Pedro is a platform engineer. He's got hands-on experience implementing tons of policy as code in his daytime job. He recently gave a fantastic talk about his team's journey with Kyverno and policy as code. And so today we're going to have a very, very fun, fructiferous conversation with him. Before we get started, Policy Bites is brought to you by Nirmata, the creators and primary maintainers of the Kyverno project. It's a Kubernetes-native policy engine, and you can subscribe to Policy Bites on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and be sure to follow us also at Kyverno and Nirmata on LinkedIn, where we share tons of news and information about what we have going on. Jim, just to kind of set the foundation for our talk today, you want to tell us a little bit about Kyverno and Nirmata and how they got started?
Yeah, so Kyverno as an open source project came out of Nirmata, right? So at Nirmata at that time, we were solving, different problems around Kubernetes, working with, several large enterprises. And one of the common themes was, that we saw was how developers, operators, security teams wanted to collaborate with each other all around Kubernetes. And keep in mind, this was a little bit prior to platform engineering. Now, of course, all of us kind of have adopted, best practices of platform engineering. But, in the early days, there was this struggle of how do you collaborate? How do you kind of make sure that developers can still move faster, but have the right security concerns in place? So that's where the idea for Kyverno came about, and to try and automate some of the security, automate the best practices, and make it easier for everybody involved.
Fantastic. So, Pedro, you already know
Yeah.
quite a bit about Kyverno and Nirmata as well. You get stuck listening to me tell you about it all the time. But before we jump into your experience about that, it would be great for you to help our listeners understand the context around how you even got started in the cloud native space, as well as your platform engineering career journey. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Fantastic. So thank you for having me. I love Kyverno, I love Nirmata, and I love you both. So I'm Pedro. I am based in Brazil. I'm a senior platform engineer working for a company called Itaú Unibanco. We are Latin America's biggest financial institution, the biggest bank, and we are one of the biggest companies in Latin America as a whole. Today, I mean, as I mentioned, I work as a platform engineer, but I previously have worked as a cybersecurity architect, which is where I mostly got my cybersecurity background founded on. So I worked previously at another Brazilian bank, and we were migrating towards the cloud. And I got early on in my career, I got like the opportunity of getting my hands dirty with Kubernetes, with cloud, and with the whole migration, like cloud migration process, not only infrastructure but application as well. And that's when I started learning about Kubernetes and cloud native. So I started, of course, with Kubernetes. I went to Golang. I went to right now OpenTelemetry, which is what I work with a lot, actually. So I went to Kyverno. I went to a bunch of other solutions that are part of the cloud native landscape. And then as we move towards like new workloads into the cloud, new solutions, new security solutions as well, I got the opportunity of getting, again, my hands dirty with other platforms. So using AWS, using GCP as well, and basically creating workloads, creating architectures, creating solutions that would allow our customers to enjoy their experience better, and we could keep themselves safe and keep our platform safe as well. So that's basically how I started, and that's how I've been moving on for the past 2 or 3 years, I think so.
Very cool. And was there a point where you realized that policy and governance are going to be a core part of what you were doing?
Yeah, I led the IAM team at the the previous company I worked for, and we were. IAM is basically RBAC, right? It's not only RBAC, but it's basically RBAC. And creating guardrails, working in the financial industry is actually tougher than it seems, because we have a lot of policies to comply, government rules and other standards we need to comply, for example. And I understood basically we needed to, for more than 90% of my demands, my tasks, we needed basically to set up guardrails and to set up like very good controls on our environment and our applications, on access. As I mentioned, I worked with IAM, so policy came on in handy for me. So I could like create my guardrails. I could retrieve my my reports on top of like the usage of our resources, denies, allows as well. And this became a very common thing for me to do. So I worked with some of the most common policy engines we have in the market, as well as like Kyverno. And that's where I started like, oh, so policy is the real deal. So we can use not only for security, we can use for a bunch of other stuff. And that's when I knew.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm fascinated. You came from like a security background into platform engineering, right? And it kind of showcases how platform engineering truly kind of brings together operations, security, compliance, some of these other things, especially in the financial and other sectors like regulated industries. What I'm curious about is like, so, we initially approached Kyverno more from an ops perspective too. So it wasn't just about guardrails and validation, but also, like you also mentioned, other use cases like mutation, generation, etc. So were any of these things that you have also implemented, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked as an architect, so even though I could get my hands dirty on like operations and like implementations as well, that wasn't like my main focus. So I would leave this to the other teams, like for the software engineering teams, to the SREs as well. But we did implement like on the spot like policies to comply with some of the requirements we had, to test some stuff into our clusters. So we had very big clusters, we had very critical environments, and we would use like development environments to basically break everything on, right? And we would break them, we would try some new stuff, we would implement like, again, guardrails, but also validations on our manifest, on our deployments, on the resources we were deploying into our Kubernetes cluster. And this would provide us the quick feedback we needed to basically drive the pipelines, to drive the DevOps teams to the way they should go. So this would help not only like implementing guardrails, but also validating the resources we were putting into production, putting into development and QA, and like moving forward with the applications. And we would just use it to test it out.
So you've even given a talk about this during our virtual KyvernoCon event. It was a fantastic talk. People can check it out. It's on the CNCF YouTube channel under the virtual KyvernoCon playlist. But how did you actually discover Kyverno? Because there are other policy engines out there. So how did you actually end up discovering Kyverno, and what encouraged you to start using it in your platform?
Well, I tried some of the other open source solutions first, to be honest with you, and they weren't hard, but they were very like weird to implement. So I had some issues with the language they used, with the architecture they proposed, and it wouldn't fit me the right way. It wouldn't feel like to us the right way into our environment. We were Kubernetes based, and I learned about Kyverno from a friend of mine, and he was like, dude, test it out, I think it will work. And it did. So it was very easy. I just like set up the Helm chart, and I just started creating a bunch of policies and like running the kubectl apply and testing them out, and it worked fantastically well. So I needed to create some controls like for our pipelines and for like resource uses as well. We had some I mentioned like the tags and the annotations we needed into our deployments, and Kyverno worked fantastically for us. So we had like platform-based Kubernetes clusters. We have multi-cloud deployments as well. We could basically deploy the same policy between clouds, so not only Azure but AWS as well, and it fit me. So once I got it working, I didn't have to look to anything else because I had everything in my hand, and that's where I started. And I helped other friends of mine like to implement their controls as well using Kyverno. They were like, "Oh, we are using this policy, dude. Try this out, right?" And it worked fantastically well. and that's how my relation with Kyverno worked. It started actually.
Do you remember what your first policy was?
I think it was like we were implementing we needed our deployments to have a specific annotation because it helped us, like the platform team, to gain control on like the costs and like on the guardrails that application had, like that manifest. And so we implemented this policy to validate the amount of deployments that didn't have this annotation, this specific annotation. And so the deployments had other labels, other annotations, and with the feedback, like with the reports, I could basically go like team by team by team. It's like, dude, you gotta get your policy, like your deployment the right way. You gotta fix this, you gotta fix that. So this was the first one. And I mean, the reports talk for themselves. It helped them, it helped us, and that was my first policy. And I did some of the like same equal policies as well along my journey. So this was very helpful for me.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? Because very often people just focused on the policy enforcement, which is of course critical, but reporting, exception management, and even the whole policy lifecycle management with testing, etc., they're all part of the package, right? So you need, and for us, like one of the key decisions that we had made when we started Kyverno is we wanted to make all of this native to Kubernetes, right? So as you know, with Kyverno, policy reports are just a Kubernetes resource. Policy exceptions are also a Kubernetes resource. And of course, policies themselves, everything is just YAML. And now with Cell, previously we are, and even we continue to support Jamespath, but more and more are adopting Cell. Any thoughts on the evolution of Kyverno from some of the new feature perspective, like the new policy types we've been introducing?
Yeah, I've been trying it out. I saw an article, I think Courtney published on the I think it's like the CNCF official blog. I think so. Yeah. I tested them out. I didn't get the opportunity to take them into production yet, at least, but I test them out on my local environment. I do some demonstrations to my friends as well, and I like the feedback. I like the community the project Kyverno has. So it's a very active community. I always talk to Courtney about it. I think it works fantastically well. Again, I like to say that. I like to make sure this gets the word gets out. But yeah, I like how we're moving, where we're moving towards, and I'm very very excited to see what we can build from there.
And are you excited to change an upgrade from YAML policy to Cell policy? Because I know you've got quite a few policies, and so it'd be interesting to kind of walk through that migration process with you at some point.
Yeah, for sure. I gotta be honest with you. I like YAML policies. So I know people usually don't like YAML, but I like them. It's easy for me to read. I like YAML better than I like JSON. But I think we need to move away from YAML. We have too many YAMLs. So on Kubernetes, everything is YAML based, and the cell based policies are very easy to write as well. And I would love some help to migrate my policies. So I'll hit you up once the time comes.
All right. Sounds good. So let's talk a little bit about real world use cases, because I know you've got tons of them. You're putting policy as code into practice in your real clusters with real world engineers, it's not just in theory in your actual case. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about the different patterns that you're seeing amongst your team and how you're leveraging those policies, what use cases you have, and what you would recommend for platform teams that are just getting started with policy as code.
Well, I've been using a bunch of validation policies. Mainly we had I'm talking about a prior use case I have, and we had this very specific cluster that had a bunch of applications, and I tried to implement some policies, and this is real world, right? And I got my policy on development, and it seemed fine, but I got it to QA, and I broke everything up, right? My policy stopped my pipelines because my deployments couldn't get deployed. They weren't getting deployed to my cluster because they lacked some configurations, some annotations, labels as well. So I would very strongly recommend people test their policies before deploying them into their environments, because we usually think, oh, it might break here, it might break there, but I thought about it. I thought this way, and it broke some stuff I didn't even know around our environment, right? So I would then test it out, test locally, try with your controlled environment on development, try to break them break the development environment people don't usually use. And again, I like to talk about community. So I love the documentation. I love the policies the community actually they create. Sometimes we don't have a lot of like vision, a lot of knowledge of what's going on, like on security wise. Some policies we might need to apply. So I would definitely recommend people to engage with the community and see the new types of policies that are being deployed, that are being developed, and also to submit their policies to a blog post, to some kind of repository to help others as well, like we usually do. And again, help develop the project. So if you need a feature, if you need some kind of solution, some kind of task that you don't have it, you can try to develop yourself. You can ask the community to develop to you. I think this is something we usually do in open source projects, right? But talking more about the my actual production environment and some of the policies we implemented. FinOps is a very big thing, right? So right now everybody is talking about FinOps, so we have to lower costs, we have to lower some stuff out, and we usually don't implement correctly Kubernetes resource management. So this is something I used Kyverno for. So we had a bunch of deployments. We have more than 100 applications in our clusters, and we developed a specific type of policy to actually validate if the requests set were being set on the deployments, on the manifests we had around the cluster, and this helped us to lower costs on the Kubernetes, on the nodes, on the images, and on a bunch of the stuff we had laying around. We had over provisioned our cluster. We weren't using almost 50% of the cluster. The cluster was being run.
Wow.
There. Our applications were running, but we had a bunch of resources that were being discarded. And implementing this policy, we actually could drill down a little bit of our costs. We could lower some of the nodes. And this, creativity is the base for everything. So if you have an idea, I think Kyverno can actually match your idea, can actually make it happen. So I would highly recommend test your policy, try to write some stuff. I have some problems with rejects, so use AI to help you write your policy as well. And I think those are my tips right now for production environments and for your whole usage as well.
Yeah, you mentioned testing and the importance of that, which I completely agree with. And of course, when doing policy as code, that is part of the coding process, right? You want to iteratively develop, test, and then kind of move to higher environments. But one question: so Kyverno has the CLI test tool as well as it has Chainsaw for more end-to-end behavioral testing. Are you using either of those tools, yes, to test policies?
Not at all. That's good to know. To be honest with you, I didn't even hear about those solutions. So I'll test them out and I'll let you know.
Yeah, and there's also we at Nirmata, we're creating an AI assistant for policy as code, right? Which can help you not only write policies, but also write policy tests and create that pipeline. So that's also something which might be interesting to try out. And we're always looking for feedback and help as we kind of further train and, develop that. But yeah, definitely. Just a simple way to test is in the Kyverno CLI command, there's a test subcommand starting with that and just, writing both positive as well as negative test cases. A lot of, help and feedback on the policies.
All right. Yeah. Sounds fantastic. To be honest with you, I like using AI to write my policies, but I like to write them myself and I like to test them myself as well. So I like to change a line and putting into the cluster and running some load testing on my applications. And I like to see how the behavior of the application changes, the behavior of the environment changes. But having a CLI to test it out quickly, it will shorten my work time in a very expressive way. So again, I'll try it out and I'll let you know. I promise you.
That'll be great. Yeah. Oh, awesome. One other follow-up question. So you talked about using multiple clouds and different managed Kubernetes services. How do you manage Kyverno and your policies across these different platforms? Do you use GitOps or some other way of managing them?
Yeah, we do have some GitOps workflows set up. We usually have different engineers that would we have a specific engineer that takes care of one cloud, another engineer that takes care of the other cloud. And this is like very scoped, so they don't have to manage like 30, 50 clusters in one cloud. So they take care of their cluster, we take care of our clusters. So we usually work like this because our solutions, they differ from environments. So I have a solution that runs on AWS, they use some services there. My solutions that run on Azure, they use another services, on GCP and others. So we usually try to let an engineer to be responsible for one specific environment. But we do have our policies managed by our GitHub. So we have some repo set up, and we like to version our code. We like to put the policies into the version control system. We have some different repos for the policies, and this helps us not only with having tracking down the changes we had to break the environment, for example, but also for the other developers on the company, other developers on other teams that were like, oh, I saw your policy, I'd like to try something else. So here's the link. You can copy yourself, and you can test them out. So that's how we do it. So we do have some workflows set up to help us basically manage our policies along the months and days and weeks of work.
Now, you brought up AI. You did it, not us. To be clear, you're using AI to write policies. That's very cool. I'd love it if you told us a little bit about how you're using AI to write your policies, what AI you're using to do that, and also kind of how do you think AI is going to be impacting policy as code in the future? Because especially for platform engineering teams like yours.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I won't say I'm not pro AI. That's not what I like to head to. But I like to. I thought I told you guys I like to read, and I like to do stuff myself. So even though I use AI to help me write some of the policies, I like to start them by writing myself. So I like to go through the documentation, and I like to get some examples. I like to write some stuff, and so let me test it out. Once I get kind of stuck, I'll ask AI, so what should I do different here? And I'll paste my policy, and the AI would give me a feedback. So I'll try it out. I like to understand actually what I'm putting into my code, because I know AI gives a bunch of problems right now, with this whole vibe coding strategies, and developers just vibe coding them their way through production. So I like to know what I'm putting into my code, and I like to read again. So I go through the documentation, I'll test some policies, I'll give the AI, so I'll ask some questions to the AI, and sometimes I'll ask the question without giving the policy. So I'll just, so I would like a regex to validate this pattern, and it would give me back a specific regex. I would try it out. I would say, it works. All right, so it works fine. I'll test them with the other examples I have, and I would move like that. Right. So this is basically how I do it. I tested out my policies on my own environment. I test them by hand. I like to apply. I like to remove the policies. And this is how I've been moving with AI. I use a bunch of VS Code. So Copilot is my best friend, but in the engine, I like to use Claude to help me write better policies. So Claude gives me the best feedback. It gives me again the best changes to the policies, and I would recommend you test it out. But I would also recommend you write your policy yourself.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's where it's interesting, how these hype cycles in technology always go. Right, there's some new big wave of technology, and the first reaction is, this is going to replace everything or change everything. And then there's that you kind of go through what it can do and cannot do, and maybe there's some level of disappointment in the limitations. So the real balance is somewhere in between, like you said, right? You want to use the new technology to its best possible potential. Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think AI is best used with humans in the loop, of course, but also when you stop thinking of it just as a tool and almost like an assistant, right, where you're interacting with it every step.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I like to learn, so I don't. I usually don't like to. I try to ask questions to the AI assistant to actually help me understand what's going on. So if my code doesn't work, if it doesn't work the way I would like to, and I'm not able to find out by troubleshooting and by debugging it, so I'm trying to get this behavior. Why am I not getting towards it, right? And I like to understand what I'm putting into my code. So I think this is something these this whole AI controversy is getting at. So people usually just ask what they want and they put their into their code, and that's it. I think we need to actually try to use AI in a different way. So we gotta enhance them ourselves. We it's a very useful solution for people who actually know how to use it. So this is how I use it. This is how I like to use it. Again, I like to understand what I'm doing. I like to know what I'm doing, right? So if my bosses actually ask me, so why did you write like this? And I was like, dude, it wasn't me. It was Copilot, right? So I shouldn't say that, right? So I think it's important for us to understand what we are putting into our code and to be responsible with the user, right? Because we are software, we're creating solutions that people use, and we need to be able to help our customers and our own colleagues into their journey. So use AI, but use it the right way. Use it having thinking the way we should, right? Use it to help you, use it to enhance yourself, use to work better. Don't let it do your work, because it doesn't work that way.
Great points. Are you also seeing AI workloads on your Kubernetes clusters? Are there teams deploying, whether it's agents or chatbots or LLMs or things like that?
Yeah, we have people running those types of workloads into our environment. But to be honest with you, this is not the part of the company I work for. I don't have that much context into it. I know a little bit about agents. I work a little bit with agents, but deploying LLM workloads into production, that's not my area of expertise.
And have you played around with the Nirmata AI at all? Or
you didn't send me the link. Of course I didn't.
You stopped by the booth. I just figured somebody forced you to talk to them.
No, but that's something nice for me to test it out. I mean, I run my agents on locally. I have a bunch of agents running, so I can definitely try it out. Do you have can you give me an overview, and for the people watching as well, about what it is, the AI, the Kyverno AI agent?
Yeah. So broadly speaking, again, the idea is to create assistance for platform engineers, right? And where we started with is policy as code, of course, given our expertise in that domain, and building on top of Kyverno. So writing policies, testing policies, recommending policies. That's the first part of it. But then also one of the key pain points we see is platform teams want to deploy policies, but they don't want to be doing necessarily all of the follow-ups, or every time there's a new application team that comes on board, somebody has to help the application team remediate issues, right? So we created a remediation agent as well, which can automatically look at blocked violations, or can look at if you're deploying in audit mode, violations on your clusters or pipelines, and create pull requests for developers, right? So that helps shorten that cycle and eliminate the toil and friction between developers and operators, using some of the AI underneath to actually come up with that remediation and test it and verify it. The other interesting thing is, because we're dealing with policy and structured data and things that we can test, our AI output can be verified, right? So it's not okay, it's going to make up something and then you don't know whether it works or not. We have verification built into every step. And of course, we're not impacting anything in production. This is either creating pull requests, or it's on your local machines as you're developing testing policies, etc.
Sounds great. I'll try it out. Again, I have another thing I need to promise you, and I'll promise you I'll try it out for sure.
Yeah, no, the feedback's always great, so thank you.
All right. Absolutely.
Very cool. I mean, we've talked about quite a few things here. So what about the future of policy and platforms and governance? How do you actually see that maturing over the next couple of years? Because I think, especially as we move into an AI space, that maturity has to start changing for people. People have to start paying more attention to their platform maturity and their governance maturity. So what do you think? What's your perspective?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Being someone that actually likes working with security and have been working with security for a while, I would definitely go towards the way of thinking, all right, so we are deploying machine learning AI workloads into our cloud. We need some controls to avoid getting our data exposed and to avoid people accessing things they shouldn't, right? We've seen a bunch of of cases around the world of like AIs providing like with customers information from other customers as well. And I mean, I can only see this one way. They don't have the right guardrails, the right controls, the right policies implemented. So I would definitely, I think we are in a very good stage right now where we can our platform engineers are deploying like their policies. We don't need our developers to write the policies anymore. We actually took this responsibility from the developers and we got it onto the platform engineers and SREs as well. So I think right now we're again talking about AI, talking about LLM. We are getting new types of policies to actually control the behavior of those models. So we need to be careful with what we put into production. Again, we don't usually know 100% of how the solution will behave. So we need to make sure like our databases are secure, or like clusters are secure as well. The access to the company's resources and the customer data is secure as well. So we can talk about like policy into the cluster. We can talk about policy in the workflow of the LLM, how the LLM actually works. So I think we are getting into this stage. So so everybody knows about LLM, everybody knows about AI, everybody knows about agents. So right now it's time for us like to actually create something that allows the companies to use AI the right way, to build good models, to build secure models, to avoid having those like data breaches and having those personal data exposures we have around the world. So I think this is something we are going to see a lot for the next next months. And I don't see we getting out of the AI world. So I think we our necessity, our need for the policies will change, but it will stay like AI attached. So we will need like to create new policies. We will need to create some other controls. And the problems will increase and they will change. So I believe in a couple of months, in a couple of years, we won't have this data exposure problem anymore, but we will have another. So, my LLM is like killing the other one. So we have other problems. And I think policy solves them basically, maybe not them all, but solves them, help us solve them pretty straightforward. And I think we are in a very good path on creating more secure workloads and more secure cloud.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, one of the things we think about often is, like moving from this manual management type of mode into more automated governance, right? And that role policies can play in that. And of course, like again, as more and more infrastructure gets deployed, more applications are getting developed even faster now, again, with AI and other things, becomes critical, right? To kind of have that governance layer in place overall across different infrastructure stack. So one of the things we've also been focused on with Kyverno is expanding Kyverno beyond Kubernetes into, being able to run Kyverno for Terraform or Kyverno for authorization or even Kyverno for MCP and other types of protocols. Are you looking to kind of explore Kyverno outside of Kubernetes or any other of these other domains?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though Terraform isn't open source anymore, which breaks my heart, I think it's very nice for us to have like a standard way of implementing controls across environments. So we have Kubernetes, but we also have other stuff. So I deploy my clusters with Terraform. I run agents into my Kubernetes cluster. We have some use cases that would benefit of having like a very standard way, a very easy way of like creating policies and deploying them into the environment. So I would love to test like the Terraform you just mentioned. It's going to be great for me. I'd love to test it out.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. What advice would you give to engineers and platform teams that are just beginning their journey with policy as code?
All right. Test your policies again and provide your developers quick feedback. So allow them to create their policies in a way they can see the result and actually know what's wrong. So, I forgot to write something. I forgot like to put my deployments, annotations, my requests, my limits. Provide them quick feedback. That's what we are here for. So it will overload your team if you write very generic policies. So the developer, so my code didn't pass like the pipeline. It wasn't deployed into my cluster. Why? I need to ask Pedro. I need to ask Courtney. I need to ask Jim. So provide quick feedback for your developers and allow them to solve their issues themselves. So create your control and let them solve the issue.
on a personal level, because I know that you're very active in the community, especially open source tools, not just Kyverno, but you have a lot of other community objectives that you're involved in. Do you have any upcoming talks or projects, blog posts that people should keep an eye out for?
Yes, I mean, I plan on writing some stuff with OpenTelemetry and Kyverno as well. I'm working with observability a lot right now. I don't have any talks planned for the future. Only if you ask me to talk about Kyverno, Courtney. So I will join you to talk a little bit about it. But I'm always writing some stuff. I like to help my friends with their open source projects as well. So I like to share I'm Brazilian, so I like to share the work of our Brazilian engineers, of our Brazilian open source contributors, but also our Latin contributors as a whole. So we are a big family. So please check it out. Support your developers, support your friends, and I mean, open source changed the world. I think we need to. We know it. You guys, if you are watching this, you already know it as well. You agree with me. So I think we need to keep helping the community, to keep helping bringing new people around. I don't know how to code. All right, we'll teach you how to code. You can learn how to code. We are very supportive. The community is very supportive, very open. So like, just join a meeting, talk to someone, come talk to me. I'd love to talk to you. And let's move on. Let's keep bringing the community together. Let's keep moving open source, evolving open source. That's the way we do it. So I think this would be my final comment. I love the community, and I love to see new people coming around.
Well, and huge shout out to Cloud Native Days Brazil. That event just keeps growing and growing. I know you're very involved in it. How many people did you have last year?
We had last year we had around 300. This year we had 2. So we had the KCD, which was hosted in Rio de Janeiro. We had 250, and a couple of weeks prior to KubeCon, we had a Cloud Native Days that we had more than 450 people. So it was fantastic. We had people coming from Mexico, from Argentina, from Colombia, Peru, from the US, from Europe as well. And we are planning on having a new one next year, of course. And I would love to see Nirmata and Kyverno, of course, but also you that's watching, come around. I'll give you a discount. And I'd love to see you here in Brazil.
Yeah, that event and community, it seems like every time I hear about it, it doubles. Every time that there's an event, it doubles in size. It's the speed and the growth is incredible.
We like it a lot. We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
Brazilians love community. We love parties, and we usually like technology a lot. So this is something we like to bring here. I live in São Paulo, but like Brazil is huge. So we're trying to actually send some of those events to other places around the country to help the community. Like, so we see, we got you. So but for the Northeast, for the South, this is what we are trying to do right now. And again, we are a very big community. Brazil is huge, and we love it. So we love open source, we love technology, we love everything.
Great.
Cool.
Fantastic. You have any more questions for him, Jim?
No, but just thank you for everything that you do for the community and being part of the Kyverno community. Certainly appreciate the feedback and kind of encouragement.
Yeah, I appreciated the invitation. I mentioned to you, I love Kyverno. I really like Courtney. Even though she doesn't wanna meet me in person, right? So I love it, and I like when a company actually supports the community, like you guys do yourselves, support the events, support the projects, and I'm very grateful for you as well. So thank you for your hard work, thank you for the opportunity, and I hope we can talk more soon.
Absolutely.
We absolutely will. Yeah, we absolutely will.